Hey everyone, this is Magnanimous, and welcome to our Spider-Man review for our channel. Alright, first of all, the title is really good. I remember when you told me about it, and I first thought it was Spider-Man Coming Home, like the comic, which
That
was really good.
An absolute brilliant comic. Sadly, it isn't based on that. It's like that comic Coming Home is when Peter's 20 or 30. He's a high school teacher. There's a school shooting and lots of wacky stuff goes on in that comic. But no, Homecoming refers to the comic book arc in which it was Peter's homecoming, like at his high school.
I hadn't realized that until the movie. I don't know why. I totally forgot because it was in America. But anyways, the point is that it was a more comic traditional title instead of just Spider-Man 1, 2, or 3 or another reboot like Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah, and alright, now let's talk about the trailers. Well, the first point is that they released a lot of trailers before the movie came out. I think they released like some new video or trailer
507.
at least once a day, starting from 2 months before the release of the movie. And the big controversy was that they released a lot of spoiler content. I remember watching other reaction videos from other YouTubes, and they said that they like pretty much spoiled and explained the entire plot.
Alright, it didn't spoil a few things, like the whole, Vulture being love interest's parent. I don't remember her name. Those real forgettable characters, but it did basically spoil everything else. There was, in the first trailer we got the awesome scene of Spider-Man, trying to hold the ferry together, like paying homage to Spider-Man 2 with him stopping the train with the webs. That's cool. But then with the stupid trailers, they got to give it away that Iron Man comes in and fucks it up.
First one, it was a lot less. It was just like just Spider-Man trying to be a hero, and that there was going to be some bigger threat, and Tony was going to say like, sit this one out. But the second one, it was like, yep, Iron Man saves the boat. Vulture attacks him. The little shop gets blown up, and he uses his old suit and flies on a plane and fights Vulture.
The whole plot of the movie. That's the whole movie summed up in a minute. Like, I don't know why. I personally think it's got to do with Sony. I really, really do. Sony, being a little bit of a sookie crybaby, thinks, or probably thought, if we can make this movie blunder, maybe Marvel will give us the rights back and we can make our own Spider-Man franchise thing that they're making currently, but without Spider-Man. Like,
It must have killed them to not spoil that bit where Vulture is Liz's dad. Like, they must have been holding it in so badly. They just wanted to put that in the trailers.
like literally biting down on their hands, like blood, like the veins pop, like
Probably a massive brawl in the conference room, trying to not let the other people press the release button.
we all know how Sony works with their trailers. Okay, when it comes to the acting in this movie, Tom Holland, really good. Holds the film together. Better than I thought he'd be. Personally, Tobey Maguire has always been my Spider-Man. I always thought he was the best. Yeah, we all know about Spider-Man 3 with his little emo dancing, but I've learned to what's the word? Forgive and forget. Maybe not forget. It's scarred into my brain, but
We watched it like a month ago. I don't think we're going to forget.
oh god, that was bad. But yeah, I really didn't think Tom Holland would be able to get even close to Tobey Maguire, but I really, really think he was really good.
Yeah, I really like Tom Holland too. What I thought from Civil War, I was like, yeah, this guy's a really good like teenage kind of Spider-Man. How he's like all edgy and a bit worried and stuff, and yeah, he seemed like a normal kid. Yeah, I always liked him and thought he was going to be a really good Spider-Man for Homecoming. He's already my favorite Spider-Man. Although Tobey Maguire is probably my least favorite Spider-Man. Maybe it's just because he looks 30 years old and every line he says is a silent whisper. I don't know, maybe it was just the storyline. And yeah, I liked Andrew Garfield. I don't know why you're hating on him.
He had a big head.
Alright, he was a bit kind of swagger and stuff like in Amazing Spider-Man. But it was okay. He was like a cooler Parker. And he was a better Spider-Man in the suit with his jokes and remarks than Toby.
That's fair enough. Now, I remember sitting in class, the production of Captain America Civil War just gone underway, and we're sitting there and we're looking up, we're thinking, oh, who are they going to cast as Spider-Man? Because I remember reading that they had announced Spider-Man was going to be in it, and everyone's like, this is going to be awesome, and they're casting him, and we're all sitting there, we'll keep refreshing our page, wondering, oh, when's the casting going to come out? And then the exclusive comes up. Asa Butterfield cast as Spider-Man Peter Parker. We all just looked at each other and let out a big sigh and went, what have you done? Asa Butterfield, as you can clearly see, looks like a 10-year-old. He is just too young. Even the photos of him now, he's 20 years old. He still looks like he's 10. He doesn't look any different from what he looked like when the boy in the striped pajamas. He still looks the exact same. He hasn't aged. My God.
I mean, he looks like he's 16.
Oh, Tom Holland looks like he's 16. He looks like a teenager.
18. He looks older than me.
Okay, that's fair. But he just, Asa Butterfield. And then about a week later, when Disney announced that Asa Butterfield wouldn't be Spider-Man, we were all celebrating. They announced Tom Holland.
He got so much hate.
Yeah, everyone just throwing shit at him, which is fair enough, because he would have been a terrible Spider-Man. Like, he's a good actor, but I just don't think he would have been able to give the performance that Tom Holland did, like, throughout this movie.
Okay, we'll start at the beginning of the movie. I really liked the interesting tie-in and flashback from Avengers. I never thought, that there could be a damage control in the MCU, and that, it was just good getting scenes after the Avengers, because I thought they'd never go back on that ever. And yeah, it was created good motives and kind of interesting character for the villain, Vulture. Another good thing was that they kind of added this vagueness. I was kind of wondering, did he lose his family or not? And then it was really good plot twist when we did see that he was Liz's father. I think the whole theater was like, damn, as soon as he opened the door.
That's one thing that I do really like about Homecoming is the fact that it does sometimes hit a regular beat of a Marvel film, but in other aspects it doesn't. It really doesn't feel like your average Marvel film. It feels more like a Guardians, where it's just so left of center, but not like Guardians 2, which is just blah. But you'll find that out later. But just with the jokes, the humor in the first 27,000 Marvel movies have been sort of childish, where these ones seemed a little bit more, a little bit more adult almost, but they were from a teenager or from an adult, whatever. But
What do you mean? It captured being in high school fairly well.
Yeah, perfectly. That's really what I enjoyed about it, because every Marvel movie we've had is, an adult white male, and he's struggling going through life. But this one seemed to add a little bit more diversity and a bit of age and youthfulness and emotion. My God, they actually had a character cry on screen in the end with Spider-Man, which was brilliant. It showed Tom Holland's acting expertise, and yeah.
Yeah, about the high school bit, I liked how realistic it was. They didn't have an over cliched kind of theme for the high school, have Flash as a 6-foot massive bully beat the crap out of him, because that's when does that actually happen? They just made him this kind of arsehole guy that no one really liked, because that would be realistic. And then even with the whole Liz thing, romance, when they had only talked 3 times, when she left, she didn't give him this big hug or kiss, because they barely knew each other. She kind of just was gave him a casual bye.
Yeah, with the rest of the cast of the film, Tom Holland was great.
Ned, some of his lines fell a bit flat, but he was...
All of his lines felt really flat.
I don't think he went too far, going past that line of annoying.
Yeah, he was a comic relief, but he wasn't...
funny.
Yeah, he was a failure as a comic relief, but he didn't go to the extent of a Jar Jar Binks, where he was just, straight up annoying and irritated you. He was just, a character. You liked him, he was cool, but I wouldn't say he was a funny character. The only funny character in the movie was the teacher. Just that scene is just I don't know what it is about it. I just found it absolutely hilarious. I don't think it was the only funny
Because the
scene.
kid died.
That's, it's just that's the sort of humor we don't have in Marvel movies. Like there isn't anything like that.
It was a lot more like smarter and casual. Like
Yeah, it wasn't forced humor like we've had in Avengers and all those. But the rest of the cast, Aunt May, she was cool. You know, a bit of more of a hipster Arnie, which
bit cringy, like
Yeah.
during the restaurant scene.
sometimes, yeah, like
I was a bit like you're trying too hard. You know, shut up.
I was really, really happy. Another thing the trailers did really wrong was portray that Tony Stark was going to be the biggest part of this movie. But luckily, and praise the Lord above, he's only in it for like 15 minutes. And I thought that was
Less.
brilliant. Oh, even less. Awesome.
I kind of wanted Tony to be in this movie a reasonable amount. I don't know. I like Tony. Like as long as it wasn't Iron Man Homecoming, and it was just like a cool team up, because you know it would have been heaps cool to see an Iron Man Tony team up at the end. But yeah, unfortunately they advertised that in the trailers, and I was really pissed to find out that it wasn't even in the movie. Like they can't do that.
Bastards.
They chucked Amazing Spider-Man 2 for a little bit, because there was footage and stuff and then they cut it out and it completely changed the plot of the movie. I also liked was at the beginning how like, it was just nice seeing him in the suit like straight away. They didn't have to be full plot and like just make the most of the movie just in high school. It was just like a few high school scenes, and then it was just him in his Spider-Man suit being like a regular kind of hero.
I do think that was probably my favorite part of the movie, was the opening, I don't know, the 20-minute montage of just him running around Queens and, you know, rescuing
Doing a
people.
backflip.
Yeah, like the bit with the bike. It just shows how he's
funny.
got... Yeah, that was funny. He's got no idea, like, how to be a superhero. He's just trying to be, like, he's just a kid, but he's trying to do what he thinks a superhero would do, and... you know, with how he loses his backpack and just everything, all those little things just make him feel more like a real human being, opposed to a Captain America or an Iron Man who's larger than life character. You know, he felt more grounded and realistic to me.
Another good thing was the Spider-Man suit. Like they only made minor changes to the Civil War suit, not that they needed to, but yeah, they made it look cool, like having the hardened black lines on the edges, and they changed his web shooters, and it looks heaps cooler. Like, because I think in the Civil War it was just a black band, but in Homecoming it's like this cool triangular slick, and it even had the pressure thing around his hand, which they didn't do in the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I personally did like the aesthetic look of the suit. I'm just
And
not.
it looked real.
Yeah, no. Oh, see that. 50% of the movie, I'd say the suit looked real. The rest of it looked like claymation, like he did in Civil War, where like there was like one scene where it actually looked real, and that was a bit where he's on the ground. But doesn't matter. I liked the look of the suit. You know, it was a cool Spider-Man suit with the small symbol and everything. But I really didn't like how futuristic and technological it was. Like, I like the old-fashioned Spider-Man comics where, you know, if he wants to do a certain web pattern, he's got to figure it out himself. Like cover his finger over the web shooter or shoot at a certain angle. You know that. That's cool. Or make his own web shooters to make like the web ball or the web net. Whereas this one, he's given it all on a silver plate by Tony Stark. But, you know, that was all sort of introduced in Civil War. I guess they couldn't really fix that now, but so be it.
I, on the other hand, like that Spider-Man had like a high-tech suit, because it was more realistic rather than having this teenage kid have this really crappy beginning suit and then out of nowhere make this top-of-the-line suit, like for both Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 and Amazing Spider-Man. Because it's more realistic having like a billionaire genius make his suit, and then it was cool having, it was really funny having Karen part of the suit. She added like a bit of comedy and a new kind of style for Spider-Man. Like with the insta-kill and the different web shooter patterns and stuff, and yeah, it was really funny.
Now on to the main reason everyone goes and watches a Marvel movie, the action. This felt a little bit toned down compared to like an Avengers 2 with like cities going in the sky. This was more. It was only what, like 3 action set pieces. Like
I love action, but I can't remember an actual good definitive action scene where I would like rewatch it on YouTube. Like I can't think there was a fight. It was just like little snippets, and it was more like dramatic and intense kind of story with like him reacting to it rather than just one fight.
it'd be close to like the action in Wonder Woman, where there's not as much action.
And it was spread out.
Yeah. Like what there was the boat bit, and how he fought the guys on the boat, but that was like 2 minutes of him fighting, and then the boat blows up, and he's got to put it back together.
Yeah.
There was the chase scene in the beginning.
Yeah.
After the party.
Yeah, and then when he busts the heist, but that was really short. And then Vulture comes in and he almost drowns. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
think.
the plane scene.
Yeah, that's about it. And it felt real contained. Like the whole movie felt like it took place within. I know at one point it does go out to Washington and stuff, but the movie doesn't feel large scale, like globe trotting. It felt more, small scale, like Ant-Man, where it was just there was like 2 or 3 places, and that's the whole movie, which is fine. It works good for a Spider-Man because Spider-Man isn't a hero.
Oh, and we've got the Washington.
Oh yeah, the
action
Washington.
scene, but that wasn't really like a fight. That was just drama.
Yeah, dramatic purposes. Yeah, the action was good. I enjoyed it. Vulture looked cool when he was fighting. I did like the redesign of Vulture. How it was like more military-esque, like a attack helicopter on a person.
Yeah, some people might not like him as much as, like, say, the comic book version, because he's not really that comic book accurate. Like, having the comic version's like an older kind of guy who's had his stuff stolen, which it is along the lines, but it's fairly different. Like with the suit, it's more high-tech kind of science fiction, while this Homecoming one's a bit more realistic, having the propellers and stuff.
I did like Michael Keaton. I thought he was a brilliant Vulture. Like, when I heard that they were going to have the Vulture as the villain, I thought, oh, fuck, this is going to be, trash. Like, it's going to be like Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, it could have been cooler with that whole theories that his legs were going to be missing and he was going to be a US veteran, and then he's going to have attachment claws. That would have been a bit more interesting.
That would have been awesome. He was unlike most of the Marvel villains. He felt like a real villain, like he had real purposes. But again, Marvel does the same thing they do every time, where they'd have the villain do a really dark thing, and then they'd undercut it with a really cheesy joke. Like in the movie, there's a guy, the Shocker, who says, "Oh, I'm going to betray you and tell your whole family about what you're doing." So Vulture picks up a gun, shoots him, and destroys him. Right? You think, "Oh God, damn, this guy's really dark. Like, he's willing to kill people to save his family." And he goes, "Oh, I thought this was the anti-gravity gun." And then everyone in the audience is supposed to laugh, but he just murdered a dude. Like you should be shocked and like, oh wow, okay. Instead, as per usual, they straight at the knees and.
Yeah, I laughed because murder's funny. But yeah, the guy did feel like a real person. Like it felt realistic. Like he was just doing a job, and after he got pissed off after the Avengers fiasco that happened, and then he just became a crime boss, and then it just kept going and going, and then he was just doing it to get money for his family, and he just really cared about his family and getting security. It wasn't this big take over the world thing, and which was really good.
All right, so now we're going to be talking about the later part of the movie. This is like the whole review's been spoilers, but this is going to be like extra spoilers, like in detail. So the first thing that has annoyed me and probably everyone that's seen the movie is the MJ fiasco. Like, if they just introduced Michelle, or is that her name, Michelle? Yeah, Michelle Jones or whatever. If they'd introduced her as her own separate character, that's cool. I don't mind. Introduce her as Mary Jane Watson, that's cool. I don't mind. But don't introduce her as Michelle and then say, "Oh yeah, by the way, Pete, my friends call me MJ." That's dumb. It's just you're merging 2 characters uselessly together when you could just have them be either of them.
Yeah, but I think my main point is that Michelle, the character throughout the movie was just this dry kind of,
Hipster.
yeah, and what was she? Comedy?
No, she wasn't comic
What's that
relief.
term? She was. She was like in
She
all
wasn't
the
funny.
like the depressing detention scene. You know, she came out of nowhere and she just tried to throw in some jokes. She was just this weird, random chick that was just in there for comedy. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm MJ." You know, this massive character who's
Massive part of the Spider-Man lore and canon. They just thrown that away. And now I'm not being racist at all. If you just wanted to cast MJ as a African American, I wouldn't care. You know, that's
I didn't care.
yeah, that'd be fine with me. But don't ruin the character by merging him into a new one and sort of having her be the character, but not really. It's just wrong. That'd be like getting Gwen Stacy and then having her in the next Spider-Man movie, having her as I don't know what was she like the smart one, having her as I don't know a cheerleader or something. That's just not her character. Like, it doesn't matter if you want to change their race or ethnicity, anything. That doesn't matter. But just keep consistency with the character or make a new character.
Yeah, I found myself actually kind of disliking Mary Jane, whatever her name is, for most of the movie. Like when she like calls Ned and Peter nerds and does all this stupid stuff where most of the scenes are just, can't believe you guys are at this party, and then they go, "You're at this party too." She goes, "I know." Just
dumb.
shut up. Like, I didn't like her. I don't know why they made her MJ. That was this really stupid idea. Whoever came up with that.
Okay, the final fight scene with them on the plane, that was cool. I was fine with that, you know, and how they crashed onto the beach at where was that?
I don't know.
It had the park. It's in Grand Theft Auto. I can't remember. It's somewhere. Los Santos. No, that's is it Los Angeles? No, they can't be because they're in New York. That's like the other side of the country,
Yeah.
isn't it? Oh, whatever. They crash on a beach, you know, and then Spider-Man, being the hero, goes in, rescues Vulture, you know, showing.
I was expecting him to be dead because he was like really close to that massive explosion. I thought, oh, he's dead.
Cameron, it's a Marvel movie. They don't kill anyone. No one died.
He just walked in there. He was like, "Yep, I got this guy's perfectly intact body. It's all good."
It would have been cool if maybe he had, like, I don't know, lost a limb. And then in the future movies, if he's in the Vulture suit again, he'd have like the claws, like we said, which should be in the movie. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we have the final fight, and then, you know, Tony's like, "Oh, thank you very much for, you know, saving all my stuff." Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he offers Peter to be in the Avengers team and shows him the Iron Spider suit, which looked awesome.
Maybe it would have been a bit cooler if it was a bit more comic accurate, but I don't know. Maybe those cool tentacles could come from behind. You know, maybe that'd be awesome.
Those things were just dumb. I didn't see the point. Then he's
Those
like,
things were
Doc
awesome.
Ock. Like, why would Spider-Man have Doc Ock tentacles? The final scene really, really annoyed me. The whole Aunt May thing, it was just ridiculous. It was cheap. It felt like it was an added scene at the end. Like, they had finished the movie and they thought, oh, people won't like that ending. Maybe we'll just add a joke. He goes, he's at home, there's a bag, like a little brown paper bag, and somehow it fits the whole Spider-Man suit in there, whatever. Peter Parker's standing there, wearing the Spider-Man suit, and the door's open a little bit, and Aunt May goes, "What the fuck?" And then it cuts, right, and then it was just really cheap, because Aunt May isn't supposed to know. Like, in Spider-Man 2,
cares?
I know, I just found it really annoying. In Spider-Man 2, you know, with the whole speech between Peter and Aunt May, she's like, "Oh, the world needs Spider-Man. People need a hero to look up to." That was cool, because you sort of realize, oh, so she knows he's Spider-Man, but she's like, you know, she's tapping the end of her nose. She's like, wink, wink. Whereas this one, they just like, bam, shove it in there. Yep, Spider-Man.
Well, I just hopefully they don't, you know, shove it in our face for the next movie. But another good thing in the movie was the slight little hint for people who like thought about it was how Tony moves out of the Stark Tower, and it might introduce Oscorp Tower, which could bring Sinister Six. It'd be an awesome way to introduce Oscorp and Green Goblin into the MCU.
Because that'd be the perfect idea for the Spider-Man sequel. Have him still in high school and have this new kid startup, Harry
Yeah.
Osborn, right? And he's the rich kid. Everyone's like, oh shit, he's dad Norman Osborn. played by maybe Matthew McConaughey. He'd be perfect for Norman Osborn. I don't know. I just think that.
No, leave him for Professor Zoom.
Oh, okay, Professor Zoom. Maybe Carnage. He'd be cool as
Anyone
Carnage.
else.
All right. Well, all right. So yeah, and then have the sequel maybe be a Sinister Six movie because Norman Osborn's doing a couple shady deals here and there, and he doesn't like the fact that Spider-Man's interrupting it and like ruining it. So, he brings together the Sinister Six. They try to fight Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like not having that shit. Maybe have maybe throw a Daredevil in there, or just some other, maybe throw in a Netflix hero to help him fight alongside this team of villains. Only for 10 minutes or something, just as a cameo at the end. That'd be cool. Sinister Six was hinted at in the end credit scene, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, they had Shocker also in the prison, which Shocker was such a nothing villain. He was just fan service, because we thought, oh, that guy's Shocker. And then he dies, and then another guy replaces him. So it seems like he's just a very replaceable character. And then it was good that Vulture knew who he was, but then didn't give up his secret identity.
Yeah,
that was
give
cool.
up Peter's identity, because the guy that confronts Adrian Toomes in the prison, I don't remember his name, but in the comics, he is Scorpion. He plays Scorpion and...
Mark Gargan.
One of them.
Gargan, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Gargan. Yeah, I think that was it. And
I thought it was Shocker. Oh,
no, that was him, because he was the one that got arrested on the boat scene, and he has a scorpion tattoo on his neck. I didn't realize that the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I was like, I know who that is. Yeah, so they've perfectly set up in this movie that they probably do eventually plan to make a Sinister Six movie. But I don't know how they're going to do it with the fact that Sony still own the rights to almost all of his villains, I think.
They own Doc Ock?
Yes.
Damn it.
Because Sony announced maybe a month or two back that they're making a Kraven movie. And no, was it Doc Ock? I don't know. They've announced a Venom, Kraven, one other big villain, and then Mysterio, Kraven and Mysterio. So no, they don't have Doc Ock.
Mysterio's not a big villain.
Yeah, I know,
buddy.
but it'd be cool to have a Mysterio in there. He's just such a weird villain. Imagine Spider-Man fighting him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Mysterio," and he's punched him in the head.
Magic and stuff.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. Can you picture an ad with him with
the
a
big fish bowl
on his head and purple cape?
Okay, maybe not, but yeah, that's just the whole Sony fiasco. I just really hope Sony goes broke in the movie section. Not Sony in general, because the PlayStation's awesome, but I just hope they go broke and they stop making movies, and then Marvel buys all the rights back. Because I'd love to see Venom in one of the sequels, not Venom like Spider-Man 3, but just I don't know, maybe eventually have an Agent Venom movie. That'd be sick. Fucking love Agent Venom.
Well, if they're only making 3 movies, then they only have a finite number of things they could do. For maybe the third big movie, they could do Green Goblin, have him overarching in the second one, and I don't know who they could do for the second movie. Maybe Scorpion, or I don't know. There's heaps of people that they could do without repeating the other movies. But I do want to see another Doc Ock movie because he's awesome.
Doc Ock was probably the best part of the Raimi trilogy. If they could get the same actor who played...
No,
I loved
that'd be
him.
dumb. He was good, but that'd be so stupid. It'd be wait, is this the same universe or not?
Okay, that's fair. But I still want them to get J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, because no one else can play J. Jonah Jameson. John... What?
J. Jonah
J. Jonah... What's the first name? What's the J stand for?
Maybe John.
Jonah James. That's fucking dumb as all hell. Yeah, okay. So, in conclusion, Spider-Man Homecoming was a
solid movie.
It was a solid film. It felt some parts more like a Marvel film than it did Spider-Man movie. Not everyone agrees with that. I just think, I'm just not a big fan of the whole the Guardians direction that they've taken everything since Guardians was such a big hit.
Well, I think they left Spider-Man alone for that because I don't know, Spider-Man felt really fresh and different. It didn't feel like a copy and paste.
I'll give it that. It did have some fresh aspects. I thought, you know what, this is cool. I don't know why some people are giving this a 90% or 9 out of 10. It's not that good. Jeez, I wish it was. But I'm going to have to give this one a 7.
Yeah, and I'm same, complete magnanimous approval. Very good movie.
Very, very good movie. Probably I'd probably say second best comic movie this so far. Logan being at first. Logan was just perfect.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the other movies. It was just
Wonder Woman.
Logan, Guardians, and
Guardians.
Spider-Man. So yeah, Spider-Man is probably my favorite movie so far.
Yep. Okay, guys, also just some news about Magnanimous. We're probably going to be releasing roughly 1 to 2 videos a week. Because we know...
bothered, yeah.
Yeah. We know we've been lacking behind because before Wonder Woman, our review before that was Power Rangers. That was in
released?
March, I think, because it came out in February. It took me like a week to make it. Like, we're really far behind. So yeah, we're going to just try bring out all new stuff, like for new movies coming out now and games, and also some older movies that have come out previously throughout the year. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Mossy.
Farmer.
And this is Magnanimous.